Hey guys, what is up? It is Filtersc, and I'm back for my 4th episode of Gnomoria. And like I said last time, I was going to bring you back when the Goblins started their raid, and I've just received a notification the Goblins have been spotted. Now, being that it is daytime and I can currently see everything on the map, the Goblins will actually show up, or anything on the map will that's not in a darkness area will show up. If this was nighttime, I actually wouldn't be able to see all the Goblins right away. One of my gnomes would have to spot them, so we'll have to keep that in mind. That being said, we have just 3 basic Goblins, and we've already gone ahead and set up our military, so it's going to be able to handle them relatively easily. If we take a quick look at the Goblins, we can see we have a Goblin Raider, no equipment, skills very low, very basic, and same applies to the regular Goblin, and I believe this is another Goblin, so no equipment. There's no fear of losing limbs or anything like that. One thing to keep a note out for, there's no logs or anything, because they'll actually pick up logs and beat up your gnomes with your logs that are sitting around. I don't know if they'll pick up the pine clippings, but I've seen them pick up clumps of dirt and stuff like that. So with that being said, all we're going to do is just issue an attack order for all squads. You can see guys are starting to light up with the attack, and we should be good to go. So just put it on kind of a slow play. You can see they're spotting more and more. And finally the 3rd Goblin's been spotted. It gives you a notification each time. So we'll just play it out. You can see everybody's starting to close in. And hopefully nobody's going to die. Don't really need to pay too much attention. See, one of the Goblins has gone down, 2nd one's died, 3rd Goblin's died, and if we just click on the population tab, nobody's injured. Looks good. So you can see actually a Goblin was using a log there, but not a big deal. And these Goblin corpses can actually be butchered, which is good. That being said, our butchers are, they can be finished, but they're too busy building this little ramp area. So hopefully they'll get that done before those corpses disappear, because I would much rather have them butchered than not butchered. But first initial combat, very easy and straightforward. Typically you'll see them come with at least 1 weapon this early. But we got a little bit lucky there, so hopefully you get that luck as well. Now, one thing to notice is we don't have any drink right now, but we do have our well, so our gnomes will go down to the well to get their drink. And once we finish the distillers, they'll head on over there. But nothing really major going on. One thing we are going to do here is we're going to start cutting out some birch trees, and we're going to look to make some birch beds. So let's find some birch trees over here. And we're just going to fill the main ones out. I want to try to make it look a little natural. I don't want to like clear cut everything, so we're just going to issue a few. If you just double click, you'll get 1 little box. So we're going to thin this out a little bit and make it look hopefully still a little bit natural. Ooh, that's a big cavern. It's all the way down to -8. Wow. Just be careful around that and make sure nobody falls in. But yeah, everything looks pretty good. To issue a clean floor order here. What the clean floor does is it forces your gnomes to prioritize the hauling job that you set for clean floor. So if anybody goes to haul anything, that'll be the first thing they try to do. And we'll up the speed a little bit there. So things went pretty smoothly. First combat is out of the way, which is great for us. Really happy about that, and we're gonna turn this area. We're gonna turn this area into a dormitory. Honey badger. I don't really want my guy to fight that. Yeah, no, I'm good. He's not. I don't have an attack order on it, so. The wildlife, if you're not familiar with this game, the wildlife, like things like honey badgers, can actually kill a couple gnomes on their own. Bears can easily kill them. They're very hard to kill. Monitor lizards, a little bit easier to kill, but still kind of difficult. So we don't really want to deal with those. But everything's coming along smoothly. We can just speed up time. And while we wait for things to get accomplished. And we're going to look to start digging down and creating more workshops. But first let's figure out how we want to design our stairway. And I think we're going to keep it pretty simple. We'll just choose to dig down. I don't want to make it too complex, so we'll have one set of stairs there. These stairs will go up, and these ones will go down. So I'm using the terrain dig stairs down option, and our miners, you can see, are just going to dig the stairs. Now, in the interest of keeping things symmetrical, that's where it gets a little challenging, but not too big of a deal. It's gonna be 4 wide. We'll just bring this hallway out by 20 for now. How big is it actually? It's a 29 run hallway. So if I wanted to do it perfectly symmetrical, I could go down to 29, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna build in all our workshops and that kind of stuff down here. Ideally, I would like to have a large storage area like directly under the Great Hall though. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get that started. This is 20 by 20. And if I scroll down, I can use the plus key. And if I keep my mouse directly centered, it'll be centered underneath. Just check actually. What do we need to go? 6 from there? Okay. So 6. What is it? Sorry, I just want to make sure we get a perfect test. So it's 6. 6, and then we'll make this 20 by 20 to match up with our Great Hall. And this is going to be our main storage area. And down here we just go just like that. And we'll have kind of a similar entrance to what our Great Hall has above it. But down here we're going to make a bunch of workshops. So this is just excess storage essentially is what we're going to use that for. And then down here we're going to put a bunch of workshops. Alright, so 10 by... So we need room. And they need to be 10 by 4. And that'll be 10 by 7. So this needs to be by 7. Actually, it needs to be by 8 and then 10 by 7s. 10 by 7. Should get one more in. Yeah, perfect. 10 by 7. And down here, can we do the same thing? What about here? 10 by 8, so we can get another workshop in there, and then we can probably, if we're lucky, squeeze one in here. Yep. 10 by 8. Yeah. It's gonna be a funky entrance there, but actually no, we can still go the other way. I'll worry about that in one sec though. Actually I'd rather have a hallway leading into these workshops though, so I'm gonna do it that way. We're just gonna go with the hallway. Yeah, we'll pull the hallway all the way there. Alright. 1, and there'll be a gap. Workshop there, and there'll be 6 gap. Workshop there. 6 gap. Door there. Perfect. And they're getting this done. Ah, we've got our butchers done. Excellent. Okay, so now we have our butchers. We're going to automatically butcher excess livestock and automatically butcher corpses. And we're going to set the priority on the butcher to 3. And our herdsman should hopefully butcher these goblin corpses whenever he gets a chance. One thing to note is, yeah, you can see he's already grabbing those. Sometimes when you make a workshop, I have it happen most often with the bone carver, but sometimes you'll have the workshop just bug out on you. And when that happens, it's unfortunate, but you just have to remake the workshop. So when it bugs out, essentially they just won't do anything with the workshop, which is far from ideal, but it can happen from time to time. Alright, so everything's going smoothly. You can see I've removed the designation on this stockpile because I wanted them to move everything in there. And once they finish building up this area, they should start transferring the stockpile. It'll be much smoother. This is part of the reason why I haven't, where I've sped through a few days, where I just haven't done anything, but essentially just Alt-Tab and let my gnomes work, because nothing's going to happen. There's no, I know there's no goblins attacking me at the time, and I would much rather have this finished off, so it is now. And everything's looking good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start having fields and stuff outside. So I think we're going to... should I replace floor with clay? No, I don't have enough clay. I might do it with stone, though. Can I do that? Stone floor. Yeah, I could. Just to create a divider line as a temporary solution, so I can clearly see what's going on. Alright, so we've got all the goblin corpses turned into meat. So we've got some goblin meat and goblin skulls there. I think our guys are actually eating the meat raw, which is far from ideal, but our food stocks are kind of low, so we're going to make sure we forage. And it's just important to gather the apples and all that stuff when you can. Because it's summer right now, when it gets into winter, the trees won't actually regrow. But luckily we're on a huge map, so there's tons of trees around. Going to be very easy to forage. If you're on a smaller map, it's a little more difficult to forage, so getting your food industry up and running earlier is a little better of a solution. But we're starting to get our main hall area dug out, which is great. And just going to designate this whole area as a stockpile. And we're going to make it priority 6 because it doesn't really matter, it's not overly important. We'll throw everything in there. And again, the reason for these large stockpiles, so you can see there's actually coal there, that's good. The reason for these kind of large stockpiles like this, that are just generic, is eventually we're going to make real stockpiles. Okay, so when workshops are red, it means they're full. And this is the reason we're building double stacks of our food workshops. But what you can do is issue a clean floor order, and if you have gnomes set to labor, they'll go and clean and grab all those goods and move them to where they should be. That being said, we're going to have to make a stockpile for our warrior gnomes, so to speak, fairly soon, but we're not going to worry about that right away. And we're going to get a wall and all that up temporarily, just a small kind of temporary wall. It will have an entrance though, so we're not going to cheese it out, but hopefully we can start getting our workshops finished, and I can show you what other cool stuff we're going to end up doing. On the floor below though, we're going to start moving in all these workshops. So we're going to start with our wood one, and it'll be a sawmill, and just build it like that, and just one off. And then next to the sawmill, we're going to have our carpenter. Next to our carpenter, we're going to have our stone cutter, and it's just separated by 1, which is the reason for those little gaps in the wall there. There we go. And we're going to get our tailor and all that stuff down there, but we're also going to do this is our bone carver. We're going to do our bone carver and leather worker as well down here. But we're going to put those on the far side. Build workshop. And we need our cloth, so we need our loom, which is this guy. And we need our tailor. Eventually we might make this a little better, but for right now this is going to work out. You know, sometimes maybe we'll want to move the bone carver over towards where our more artistic stuff is going to go, but don't worry about that just yet. It's not very important that we're making statues and making everything look beautiful this early in the game. Because quite frankly, it's much more important to survive. Alright, so now we're actually at a point where we can deconstruct all of this. Just want to make sure we do one more thing, which is make the barrels. So let's go pine. Pine barrel will kill that for now. Need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to make 8 pine barrels by hand. And the reason for that is very simple. See this area here? We need 4 barrels for that, and we're going to need another 4 barrels for this area. But we've got all our crates now, which is excellent. We've actually got a spare crate, but it's alright. Don't worry about that. We can always use it later. So this stockpile is coming together. Now what's going to happen is, because this stockpile is set to priority 6, and this stockpile is set to priority 5, our gnomes are automatically going to try to stock everything in this upper stockpile. If for whatever reason this one is full, then they'll start using this one. And it's a great way to just get all the crap in. They won't actually move the pine clippings for whatever reason, but that's okay. That's what we need bags for. Which we've actually haven't made any bags, but that's okay. And then once these workshops are all made, then we'll move forward. Alright, so we've got our next butcher. Same thing, automatically assign, we'll set it to the same priority because I really don't care which one they'll use. But what can happen is if, say he's butchering like, 4 or 5 goblins, that'll fill up one butcher shop, and we'll just want him to use the next one over. And then eventually the gnomes will come by and clear everything out. But that's kind of the ideal situation, right? Our carpenter is just mowing through these barrels though, that's great. Alright, so for our kitchen, we're going to set up our kitchen and distillery now. Now, the first time you open up a kitchen, it's going to be very overwhelming in terms of what you can make. And, sorry, my microphone's just dipping a little bit there. It's going to be very overwhelming for what you can make, but sandwiches are the best food that you can make. They will make your gnomes work the longest without having to go eat again. So ideally, you want to keep sandwiches in. Now, omelets they're okay, but they require eggs, which you get from emus, and we don't have any of those yet, so we don't really care. But we're going to make sandwiches, and I'll show you how to set it up so you get a nice, smooth, constant flow of sandwiches. So, we're going to set sandwich, 2 breads, and 2 sausages. Now, we're going to set the sandwich to repeat, which means if he has bread and meat, he's going to make a sandwich every single time. And it's very hard to get a lot of sandwiches because you need meat. Which you only really are going to get from goblins or your livestock once it matures to like a full field of yaks. Otherwise you won't have a constant supply of meat. So, with that in mind, we also want to make other kinds of food, which are, bread and sausages. But we just want to have him make, 5 loaves of bread. And we're just going to make 5 sausages. And then we're going to have a loaf of bread to 128, and sausage to 128. So essentially what happens is if he doesn't have any sausages, he's just going to make a lot of bread, and then when it gets time, he's going to be able to go ahead and create these items later on. And it's going to give us a nice smooth workflow without overdoing it, right? And we can just leave the priority as 5 on the kitchen. Now you can see somebody's already going to work that. Do we have a chef? What are these people doing? Yeah, I don't have a chef. There should not be anybody working there. At all. I don't know what's going on. What are you? You're a herdsman. Why are you in the kitchen? That's why. So under agriculture, our herdsman is set to cook and brew. Don't want that. So we'll have to fix that. Very, very important to keep an eye on your guys and see what they're doing. And I don't want him cooking. I'm gonna have a dedicated chef. Alright, so now for the distillery, this one we're just gonna put online and we're just gonna put it on repeat, which means any kind of fruit that he has available, whether that be in our case strawberries or sometimes apples or oranges, he's just gonna turn that into wine. And typically we won't have a huge supply. If I notice my drink amount starts going really, really high, then I'll come back to my distillery and change it to calm it down a little bit. But now that we have both of those, we need to get ourselves a chef and a brewer, because you really need both, because one person can't cover both jobs. So with that being in mind, we're going to go to the professions and just go ahead and set those up. So the first one is going to be chef, and we obviously don't want him doing stone, wood, metal, gem, or any of that. Miscellaneous crafting, nope. We already have people to do those. Engineer, no. Rancher, no. Some people like their chefs doing butchering. I personally don't. Because I'd rather have my herdsman do it. And the logic behind that is, let's say goblins kill a honey badger or a bear or something in the middle of nowhere. Your butcher will actually go to get that corpse as soon as the animal dies and could potentially run into like 8 goblins. And you really don't want your chef to do that by accident if you're not paying attention, because your chef's a lot more valuable than your herdsman is. So we really don't want him to be doing butchery, just mainly for that reason. Now we'll click on agriculture. Don't want him doing any of this except for cooking, and we're going to leave doctor and miscellaneous on. And then all we have to do is just move workshop right up to the top, and then he'll go mess around with building and hauling and stuff if there's nothing to cook. But hopefully he'll be cooking. Now the next one we're going to set up is our booze master. And booze master, exactly the same configuration. Don't want him doing any of this stuff here, with the exception of brewing. And same thing, we'll just move workshop right up to the top. And then our booze master is going to go ahead and just handle all the drinks and stuff. Now we need to find people that are going to be good for these two jobs. Now typically your farmers are your main guys to start off with. So you can see this particular farmer, Bear, is going to make a very good chef. So let's go ahead and just assign him as a chef. See if our herdsman will make a good brewmaster. Actually, how's your brewing? 24. So Bear is going to be our booze master, and our herdsman is going to be our chef, because he's got a very high cooking skill, not a very good brewing skill, so we're going to make the most of the people we have. Now what that's done is that's just killed off one of our farmers and one of our herdsmen that we do need. So we're going to go ahead and pull our laborers into that. Now who's our worst laborer? You got some butchery skill, so you'll make a decent herdsman. Alright, so we're going to make you a herdsman. Don't care that his animal husbandry is very low, doesn't really matter to me. And from there you can see we've got a lot of different professions now. Almost everybody in our fort is doing something completely customized and individual, and we need more people to be able to handle more work. Again, with the farmers, I don't really care that I only have one farmer that's kind of crappy at his job right now, because we're not trying to farm a whole bunch of stuff at once, and he will get help from other people from time to time. But let's just go ahead, and after we made those changes, we're just going to make sure to save the game, because we don't want to have to go through that process again. Okay, I just had to do a little bit of a cut there, but not a big deal. Alright, so we've got our booze master in place. Let's check how this kitchen's doing. Missing a chair and a knife for that kitchen. So we'll go ahead and just get that crafted up. Actually, bulldoze my butcher, but that's alright. Chair and a knife. So we need to go ahead and create a pine chair. And a hilt. And then over here we just need to create a knife blade and a knife. And I think we should be good. We actually need to make a table as well, because they're going to use the table for that particular brewer. So we need a table as well. So essentially it's telling me I have a table, but I really don't, because they're going to build it in 1 second. So get all that built, speed up time. Then after my carpenter's done with that, I'm going to go ahead and bulldoze everything and get it all moved down there and reset up. But while we're waiting for them to do that, we're going to go ahead and set up our new stockpiles. Now, these are what's going to make our kitchens and all that run very efficiently, so I'll show you how I like to do that. So designate area, stockpile, and don't want it there. 1 by 3. This is actually just all corpses, so doesn't need to be very small. Yeah, we'll go 1 by 3. And under goods, body part, corpse and limb. We don't want bones and skulls to be stored here. We're going to go ahead and make this a priority 2 stockpile. And we're going to go here. And actually I'm just going to extend this to the same workshop. And we're going to go here and make it a little bit bigger. And same thing. We're going to store corpses and limbs here. No bones, because we're going to put those by our bone carver. And this workshop's actually going to be a priority 6. So what's going to happen is they're going to store, 6 corpses really fast. If there's more than that, they'll go do other jobs first, which is what we want. Perfect, they're installing that. So I can go ahead and deconstruct all of these workshops and get them all moved down. And we'll go finish off our stockpiles. So these are our 2 kitchens, 1 by 6, and then here what we want is goods. There's food. There we go, we got food here. We want meat, we want sausages, loaves of bread, and we don't want sandwiches stored there. We're going to store them somewhere else. And then we can go down to plant, because wheat grain is considered a plant. Go ahead and set this up to a priority 3, I believe is correct. Yeah, or it's got to be priority 2. So priority 2 for that stockpile. And then we're going to designate this area as another stockpile and store the same stuff. So the same thing, we're going to go store grain and we're going to store food. Never find food for whatever reason, I don't know why. And we're going to store meat, loaves of bread, and sausages. Then over here, we're going to store fruit. There we go. And that stockpile is actually incorrect, so remove designation. Mistakes do happen, but we're going to go 1 by 6 and make this priority 2. And we're going to go ahead and just store fruit here. And same thing, food and fruit. And this priority 5, that's okay. So these stockpiles are set up really well. And what we need to do is add in bags and all that kind of stuff. So we need 2 bags, and we're going to go ahead and make a bag section like that. And over here we're going to go crates. And like that. And same thing, we're going to put a bunch of crates there. And a bunch of crates over on there. And then what's going to happen is, like, we're going to see overflow. So if I don't have enough bags or I don't have enough crates, I'm going to see the overflow. And same will apply there. So I can visibly see that I have fruit. Because fruit will stack in crates, but it won't stack in, it'll only have 1 if it's on the floor. Alright, so these workshops are all coming down, that's great. Designate area as stockpile. Just make sure everything's good up there. And we're going to go here. Goods. And we're going to want logs here. We're eventually going to have to change this. Actually, no, we can put pine and birch there. That's perfect. Priority 2. I don't want applewood or orangewood because I'm not going to use applewood or orangewood in my construction. If you want to, you can. There's actually no real difference other than the color. I just personally don't like the color. So, same thing here. Pine and birch logs, except priority 5. And then here, priority 2. This one is going to be for planks. And it doesn't matter what the planks are made out of. So, priority 2 for planks. Goods. And this is going to be priority 5. And I'll give a big rundown when I'm finished as well. So this is going to be goods. And stone. This is raw stone, priority 2. That's my stone cutter, yep. And then goods. Designate area, stockpile. Goods. Stone. Raw stone. And then this one can be goods. Stone, but stone blocks. And we're actually going to designate this for, no, actually, just all stone, sorry. And I made the same mistake I just did, so we're going to fix that. Area stockpile. I need to have the one little area that's priority 2 stockpile at the front. Stone, raw stone, or sorry, stone blocks, not raw stone. And then this one, 5x3, goods, stone blocks. But we're going to make this priority 4, not 5. And the reason it's priority 4 is because we want them to move the crafted materials first, before they move raw. Just to clear up workshops and workshop space and all that. So this is going to be 1x3 goods, and this is actually plant. Do you know it's not? It is cloth, and it is fiber. That's going to be priority 2. Goods, cloth, fiber, priority 5 on that one. It's going to be goods, cloth, and bolt of cloth. That's priority 2. And 5x3 goods. And this time this is going to be any kind of cloth, doesn't matter. Except you don't want fibers there. This is priority 4. Now, onto our bone carver, where we're going to have Party 2, goods, body parts, bones and skulls. And then to priority 5, body part, bones and skulls. And then our leather worker is going to be under goods, hide, priority 2, as well as, actually, I'm just going to leave hide there because I'm going to put my strap somewhere else. So up by 3, goods, hide, that can be priority 4, priority 5. Alright, so lots of priorities. Now what we have to do is get crates in these areas. And in order to do that, we're going to have to reset up all these workshops. Because they've moved, they've lost their orders. So the first thing is, this is our second kitchen that wasn't built, so let's go get that set up. Again, craft sandwich, 2 breads, 2 sausages, sandwich on repeat, loaf of bread to 5, sausage to 5, and loaf of bread to 128, sausage to 128. Then our other distillery, we want to craft wine. The reason we're not making tea is we don't have any mushroom seeds or mushrooms. And then beer, we don't really want to spend our grain on making beer. I'd rather spend fruit, because fruit's not used for anything else like sandwiches. So that's all set up correctly. And then our workshops down below, we've got to reset. So our sawmill, plank, pine log. So now we're going to craft to 40, and we're actually going to look to create a lot of planks. And we're going to make birch as well, and we're going to craft that to 40. And we're going to go to our carpenter, set it to priority 4, because again it lost its priority. And we're going to have to make some sticks. We want to make the sticks out of pine, and we want to make 4. And we want to have crates. I don't want to have multicolored crates, so we're going to make sure to designate our crates out of pine. Make sure to designate our barrels out of pine. I'm going to craft both of these to 1, and we're going to throw in one more, which is torches. We're going to craft torches to 10, because when you start to mine underground, you want to use torches in order to light everything up. So we're going to make sure we do that. And nothing else needed. And torches use coal, so we don't want to have a ton of them, but it's okay to have a few pre-made. Then we're going to go to our stone cutter. We're going to make sure we designate this. We're going to craft to 40 lapis lazuli blocks. And we're going to go to our stonemason. It's just set it to priority 4. We don't need to make anything off our stonemason. And we're going to go to our loom, pull the cloth. We're going to specify cotton. We're going to craft to 100. We're going to go to our tailor, and this is going to have to set to priority 4. And we want our tailor to make bandages first. We want to craft to 32 bandages. We're going to make string, and we're going to make padding. Doesn't matter what they're made out of at all. And we're going to make bags. We're going to craft bags to 1, padding, and string to 5. Finally, we're going to add mattress. Mattress is new, and we're going to craft mattress to 1. And the reason I'm adding mattresses in there is I want to start building beds for my gnomes to sleep on, so they sleep better and they'll work a little bit harder and longer. And finally, bandages, we're going to craft to 128. So again, how this is going to work, he's going to make 32 bandages, then 5 string, then 5 padding, then a bag, then he'll probably have to make more string and more padding, and bags until all our stockpiles where we want the bags are filled up. And then similar with mattresses there. And finally, bone carver, don't need to make anything off that, not too worried. If eventually I do need to, I can. Leather worker, we need to make sure we have, I want to have 20 straps, because I don't use leather for anything else. I don't use the leather armor really. Leather armor can be good, but it takes a while to get there. And we're actually going to set our leather worker to quite a high priority, priority 3, because our tailor does that. And if our blacksmith is being held up by leather straps, that's not acceptable. I'm okay with my tailor taking longer to make bags if he has to make the leather straps first. Alright, so that all looks good in terms of setup. The top floor is all set up properly, but the bottom floor needs some work. So we're going to go build storage crate, and we're just going to build crates across there, crates to the back, same thing. Now raw stone doesn't need a crate, it just goes on the ground, so we only need to make it for the blocks. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And over on this side, cotton uses bags, so we're going to use bags for that. But the actual finished product goes in a crate, so we'll get them to make some bags for that area. And then over here, we're going to add some crates. And I don't need very many. I'm actually just gonna add like no, just for symmetry's sake. Let's go ahead and do it like that. And then our guys are gonna get to work on all this. And hopefully, once we start making birch planks, I'm actually going to go ahead and just make a birch plank as like 1 as top priority. Because I can't set anything to be made out of birch planks until I've actually made a birch plank, so I want to get one done as soon as I possibly can. And finally, this stockpile is going to go up to priority 7. Alright, we'll leave it on priority, we'll go up to priority 6 on that one, and then we're going to get rid of this stockpile because we don't need it anymore. So our gnomes are going to have to move all our crates and stuff again, which is unfortunate for them, but that's okay for us. And the final thing we're going to do is add a stockpile here. Now this is essentially our larder. This is where we want to store all our drink and all our food, our sandwiches. So we're going to go to goods, scroll down, we're going to store all our drink here. I may as well just store the milk there too, because whatever. And food, I'm going to put all our sandwiches here, and this is going to be a priority 2, because we want to get all this stuff moved. And we're just going to go ahead and add some barrels. 2x4 storage and crates, and we're going to add some crates over on this side, 2x4. We're probably not going to get that many sandwiches or even that much booze, but that's okay for now. And then our gnomes can go ahead and get everything moved. And we should have a fairly good looking empire going on fairly soon. Now what this stockpile is going to do is, because it's all, if I have a whole bunch of crap building up in here, I'm going to know I need to move stuff around. That's why I don't have any crates or anything built in here. And these crates are just going to get moved and recycled, that's fine. And you can see we've started to really clear out this area. Is this clay? That's clay. I don't want clay. So we're going to go ahead and just remove that. And then we're going to get all this farming moved as well. I'm actually going to wait till the winter to do it, because that's the best time. Alright. We're just going to go ahead and remove those ramps, because we're going to fill that area in. And over on this side, get rid of these trees. And I don't need to worry about removing those ramps, because I'm just going to wall over it. Build terrain wall. Don't care what it's made out of. Fill in the gaps, and then I'm going to build a floor over top. There we go. And we're going to abuse a little bit the fact that if something doesn't have a floor in it, they can't walk over it. And right now, none of the enemies have ranged weapons, so they can't attack us from above. But in the future, we're going to have this designed out, so even if they could, we're going to have a nice big wall over top and all that stuff, so it should look pretty cool when it's all finished, but it's a long ways away. Alright, you can already see why we have double stack of distillery, by the way. So right now, they have, a ton of strawberry wine sitting there. And our brewer is just going ahead and using the second brewing station. So that's why we have 2 set up, which is great. And over here, yes, we can do it out of birch now. So we're going to build a 4-poster bed frame out of birch. We're always going to have one made, and then a 4-poster bed. Because we're only building out of birch, there's not going to be any pine ones, so they can't mess that up. And we're going to go up here, because this is going to become our temporary sleeping quarters for our gnomes until we build them personal quarters. We're just going to build some 4-poster beds. And first one there, build one there, there, whatever. It's going to be a little off-center, but whatever. And we're going to overbuild them because we can reuse them later. Yeah, there we go. And the way I have my economy set up now is these are just going to get built on their own. And I don't really care if they're built straight away, to be totally honest. So, but what I do need, more than likely, are some more pine trees, so we're just going to go ahead and cut some of those down in advance, because we know we're going to need them. And we're going to make our area look a little ugly by doing this, but that's alright. Same thing with a lot of this birch up here. And we want to keep it all as close as possible. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and forage out some of these trees. and give our gnomes lots of work because we like to make them work hard. You can see our farmer can't even really keep up with that, but that's alright. And as these beds get built, I'm going to deconstruct these straw ones because I really don't want my people sleeping there. But for right now I need them there, so we're just going to leave them out. And we've got a really good basic start, which is excellent. Still got to fill in this area and make it not look stupid with just like a big physics-defying land bridge. But we're gonna take advantage of that for right now. And we've given our guys, there's a lot of work to get done. But we're going to we can move our pasture as well. So what we're gonna do, designate area pasture, and the basic idea is gonna be just like that. We're actually gonna need to add on the far side, but we need another layer, I think. And over on this side, how's this gonna work? Yeah, this side's gonna be fine. But this side we're gonna need to eventually build another wall, but that's alright. And this is gonna be for yaks. We're gonna get rid of this designation, and we're gonna build a trough up here, and our yaks, you can see them, they're just going to wander around aimlessly. For the sake of symmetry, I'm actually going to build another one, and that takes place over here. So set him to make another one, and he'll get on that as soon as he possibly can. And soon these blocks should all get stored properly as well. Now, before we end this episode, because there's not a whole lot left to do, but really wait for our guys to go and harvest everything. Before we end this particular episode, we're just going to go over what we did and why we did it. Now, the big reason to get everything indoors is for safety, because if our gnomes are working indoors together, and a big goblin attack happens, they're not exposed outside, right? That's the vital key. Ideally, our soldiers are going to be strong enough to take on the goblin attack. Now, as it stands right now, they're not. So we have to kind of reinforce a little bit with civilians, but it won't be long until our we've got like 5 soldiers and they're all equipped in like copper or bronze or whatever armor, and they'll be able to handle whatever invaders come at us, and our gnomes are all going to be safe inside the fort and out of the way of the combat, which is what we're ideally aiming for. And same thing with all these guys down on the floor below. Now the reason we built our kitchen and all that is because this area is going to be our great hall. Now, it's not a great hall right now, it's a very ugly pile of dirt, but eventually we're going to add, chairs and a decorative floor and all that stuff. It'll look pretty cool, and it'll add to our kingdom worth as well. And what will happen is when our gnomes are hungry, they'll grab food from the larder here, and they'll just take the food to the great hall and eat it. Eventually we'll get ambassadors that will hang out in our great hall and all that. We want to make it look really pretty for them. But what's going to happen is the way the workflow is going to work is, if they're going to go out and they're going to grab the grain, they're going to bring in the grain and they're going to store it in here. As you can see, they're already starting to do that. And our cook is going to be able to just like quickly bang right through all the food that he needs. He's going to be able to make it very, very quickly, which is exactly what we're looking for. Same thing with our butcher. People are going to grab corpses and throw them in there. Our herdsman's going to come inside and just quickly butcher everything up, and everything's going to be nice and close by. Now, the reason we're using 2 stockpiles and not just one on like a higher priority is what we want them to do is fill this with grain and meat and whatever. Same thing here, fill this area with fruit as soon as they possibly can, and then once they filled up this front one, they're not going to immediately fill in the back one, and they're going to go work on the next job. So what's going to happen is this guy's going to get all the grain he needs to keep working. This guy's going to get all the fruit he needs to keep making booze. These guys down here are going to get all the supplies they need, and then when there's extra work and they have the kind of free time to do whatever, that's when they're going to fill up the additional stockpiles. So what that means is everybody is going to have a smooth workflow, rather than say this guy just having an infinite amount of grain that he'll never ever be able to get through, but this guy doesn't have any fruit because all his fruit is over here and he has to go walk over to get it. We don't want that. So that's why we did it with the 2 stockpiles. It's going to make our fort run very efficiently. And the reason there's gaps there is it's all aesthetics. Eventually what I'm going to do is put torches on this wall in between each gap, and probably torch on this side, and then there'll be doorways, which should all look pretty cool. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. Hopefully it's given you an idea of how to get everything internal and up and running as smoothly as possible. You can see it's only the 10th day of summer in the first year, so we're not even halfway through our first year, and we've already got the vast majority of the workshops we're going to use. The exception being we don't have any of the metal workshops yet, but we're gonna start worrying about those in the next episode, as well as cleaning up this front. What we want to do is get everything cleaned up and get a wall built around the outside so we can kind of see where we want to start building our gatehouse, and we'll probably just build that out of crap like dirt. And within the gatehouse we're going to get a mine, and the mine is going to take us all the way down, eventually to the floor that is lava that we can't see yet. But we're going to dig all the way down. Not straight away, obviously. We're going to look for tin and all that. I'll show you some effective ways to mine that I personally enjoy. And yeah, there's not much more to add to this one, but tune in next time where we're going to have, it's going to be the start of winter, so we're going to come back on the first day of winter when hopefully we get some nomads to fill in, to maybe get an extra farmer, to get an extra laborer, maybe even get another soldier in our military, and we can start moving all our farm fields because nothing grows in the winter. So it's a perfect time to get any of those big building projects out of the way. And anyway guys, this is Filtersc, and I will see you guys next time when we cover a little bit more of Gnomoria.